Welcome to the Top 10 Gardener with Master Gardener Ken Lain. Gardening can be challenging, but with Ken's tips, tricks, and top 10 advice, you'll reap huge rewards. Now welcome your garden host, Ken Lain.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. Your host, Ken Lain, here every week, talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. Oh, the monsoon season in the mountains. Isn't it pleasant? We're way past the heat of summer. We're now into that beautiful late summer, early fall. I mean, this is my favorite time of year. Spring is my favorite gardening time because you've been pent up way too long. And so you get out just to get your hands dirty, to plant some new violas and pansies and broccoli and another fruit tree and some shade trees. It's a planting season. That's good. And I've been pent up way too long sipping tea and baking cookies. And so now you want to get outside for some fresh air. Spring is a good garden time. Summer, it's just hot. That's made for boating, hiking, camping, going out in the shade. So that's a good time. We're way past that. Now we're into that late summer, fall. Oh, the gardens are mature. Things look good. And so now it's now you just go out and enjoy it. So we had lots of backyard parties, barbecues. We had pizza last night. We just took it on the back deck and just enjoyed it because the weather was just so nice. And so it's not hot. It's not cool. It's rainy, maybe. Then it leaves. It's just perfect. I did notice that we've had over, 3 inches of rain at our house, 3.4 inches of rain at our house. Last month, we had that much, the entire month. We're only halfway through the month here. So August is our wettest month. This monsoon pattern goes through September. Sometime it will end. We don't know when, but sometime in September, it starts to really dry out. And then it's just gorgeous weather without any rain, without any weather. It's perfect through October. Actually into November, depending on the weather. We have what we call Indian summers here. I don't know where they came up with that framework, but anyway, it seems offensive. Native American summer. And so anyway, this is gets cold and then it comes right back and gets nice. It just does this through the end of the year. This is how we are. That's why I like this as a second planting season. I have more success this time of year because it is cool. It is moist. The ground is warm. And so there's less in the spring when you're planting a new, let's say, maple tree or an aspen or a fruit tree or a berry, whatever it is, flowers, perennials. Then you've got cold soil, so they don't root out very fast, tender new growth, and this prevailing wind that just whips things up. And then every night is just brutally cold. Well, this time of year, we don't have any of that. The ground is moist and warm, and things grow immediately. They're growing really fast right now. Something you can take advantage of with this moisture and the warmth is if you fertilized your evergreens. That's good. We told you to do that last month. You should fertilize everything and take advantage of the monsoon rain. This is it's a second growing season. So you should have done that already. Use the 7-4-4 all-purpose plant food. Enough said. If you want to really bring out the flowers, and if you really want to bring out the blue in Arizona Cypress, the blue in Deodar cedars, the blue of Colorado spruce, that blue juniper, really bring out that blue color of your hydrangeas, blue. If you want blue on those plants, you're going to need to give those plants, in addition to your fertilizer, some aluminum sulfate. That's what plants pick up. Plants pick up aluminum out of the soil, and that's what causes that blue coating, that silver blue color on your evergreens. That's what brings out the real intense colors, the richness of hollies and hydrangeas. They really appreciate aluminum sulfate. It's a supplement that you add to your fertilizer, but you're doing it specifically for those things you want to bring out that color. So I noticed the Deodar cedars we'd fertilized. I gave it some aluminum sulfate and the all-purpose plant food back in June before the rains came. And so they pushed on new growth. These are very mature Deodar cedars. These are, they got to be at least 30 foot tall, at least 12 feet wide, beautiful swooping branches, nice straight central leaders going straight up to the moon, a beautiful specimen of a tree. But it looked a little anemic. It needed some care. And so I gave it some fertilizer and some aluminum sulfate. And all of a sudden, this plant is rich green, coated with blue tinges out towards the edges. It is a game changer. It's a totally new plant. You look at it and go, huh, is there something wrong with that? You look up close, you go, no, it's just really, really healthy. And that's what you can do. Take advantage of the rain, because the rain's going to help take those minerals, take that fertilizer and push it into the ground, through the rock, through the fabrics, into the root zone, so the plants can pick that up, and it makes a difference. This is a season when gardeners take advantage and bring out the richness of their gardens, not just make them grow and bloom well. I did the same thing with my blooming plants. So blooming plants, they don't need aluminum. They're fine. They're going to bloom without that. In fact, they would just leave it alone. The aluminum would sit there and not be used. Whereas a Colorado spruce is going to go, oh, yummy. Let's pick the stuff up. They go, gosh, I'm going to really be beautiful after I get my aluminum sulfate up there. And it just makes them look from green to blue, brings it out. It's a game changer. Flowering plants, they like phosphorus. So super phosphate is my go-to for plants during the monsoon rain. So super phosphate is 0,18,0. It's all that middle number. So 0% nitrogen, 0% potash, but all phosphorus. Phosphorus, that middle number, that's what causes fruits and blooms. If you want more fruits, you want bigger tomatoes, you want more hydrangeas, you want more lilacs next spring, you want more salvias, more crepe myrtle color, if you want more color, give it super phosphate. And you sprinkle it on the ground and you pray for rain. If you're not a prayer person, just hope for rain, dance for rain. Rain is what's going to activate it and make it all go in the ground. And so that just releases it. That plant will pick that phosphorus up and go, wow, this is a rich soil. My goodness, I am in heaven right here. Let's just bloom like crazy. And your hummingbird brings in more butterflies, more hummingbirds. But I use super phosphate on my blooming stuff, especially the really long blooming stuff, lantana, all my annual flowers, my geraniums. What else do I got? I mean, just crepe myrtles are in bloom right now. My grasses. I want my grass not just to be pretty and soft, and I want them to bloom. I want those pampas grass to have ginormous plumes on that. So big flowers on the grass. And so super phosphate, in addition to your regular fertilizer. Again, this is a mineral. So you're adding your regular 744 all-purpose plant food and at the same time, super phosphate. Or if you fertilized already back in with the start, when I told you back in July, I told you start of the monsoon, fertilize then, you'll get the best growth. If you did that already back then, go ahead and add the superphosphate to those blooming plants, roses. If you want roses, it's just go, wow. Give it, in addition to its rose food or 7-4 all-purpose food, give it some superphosphate in addition, and you will have inspiring. I mean, just like, wow, how did they do that? They got the most stunning smoke bush on the street. How did you pull that off? Your neighbor's going to stop you going, wow, could you share? How did you do that? We still got a month and a half really of growing season. I mean, strong growing season. You can plant things and they will root out immediately right now. This is the time to plant some bigger things. If you've wanted that red maple for fall, now's the time. If you want another aspen clusters, now's the time. A spruce or pine, another pine tree to block off that neighbor who just put a brand new hot tub on their back patio and you're sipping tea, watching the sunset and watching your neighbors in their hot tub. A pine tree right there. Arizona cypress right there. It's a perfect time. And they'll root out. You'll get some growth through the end of the year. But then you're setting the stage for next spring. You're really going to take off with growth. So this is a good time to set the stage for you folks that have brand new plants. Do that. Make sure you fertilized and take advantage of this rainy season. And don't just use any fertilizer. You can't use chemicals. The Scott's turf builders, the Schultz, you want an organic plant food. Because if you use chemicals, you burn off all your worms, all the good stuff in the soil go away. They don't like chemicals. Your plants are okay with it, but they don't. An organic food enriches the soil and the things living in the soil as well as a plant. You want to use that 744 all-purpose plant food. It's a game changer. Got a lot in store for you, but Lisa Lain is coming in with garden questions right after this. Hi, Kenneth Waters with our Monster Monsoon Sale, our only sale of the year.
Truckloads of fresh autumn maple, aspen, and spruce have just arrived, and we need room, so summer plants must go.
Perennials, trees, shrubs, even pottery must go, and it's worth your while with plant sales at 25, 45, even 65% off.
It's Waters' only sale of the year at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Where people who love great plants at sale prices, they love to shop.
You're listening to Garden Master Ken Lain, owner of Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Join his daily podcast for timely garden advice seasonally right for the gardens. Ken can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center in Prescott or through his website at top10gardener.com. You're listening to Garden Master Ken Lain and the Top 10 Gardener podcast. Welcome to the Top 10 Garden Show.
And we are back with Lisa Lain in the studio. She comes each week with your gardening questions. Just what are neighbors talking about? And I think we can learn some things just by hearing what other gardeners are seeing. I don't know if you saw that, Lisa.
What?
The customer shot me a huge photo, like close up. He must have a brand new cell phone with photo, whatever, enhanced tomato worm. Which on the screen is as big as my monitor, like it's 20 inches tall. It's like huge, eating his tomatoes. I went, ooh, okay. There, that was in Chino Valley. I went, they're out. So here we go. That's the benefit of gardeners sharing with each other. And that's the goal of this segment.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be back.
It is good to be back.
Sure.
So what kind of questions you got, or what are you thinking about this week?
Well, I forgot to bring my glasses, so
Here,
I'm
take
gonna
mine.
have to hold.
Here, I got an extra set of cheaters for you. Sorry about that. You folks on the podcast, the video piece, Amazon, or no, who does video? Spotify and Apple does the video piece. Everyone else just does audio.
Yes.
You get to see my beautiful gal and her. Now that's what is that? Diamond studded cheaters.
I'm like, you had these?
I guess some.
How did you have diamond
I
studded
needed
cheaters?
something to read. I needed some help, and they were sitting. A customer left them behind. I went, I could use those real quick. No one's watching. I'm here for you. My name's Ken.
Yeah.
Hi, how you doing?
Well, these are pretty fancy diamond studded cheaters I'm reading through. Okay. First question is from Marcy out in Chino. She wants to know what causes the cracking on the top of her tomatoes, and to know, is there any way to prevent that or help that?
So where's she at, or what's
Chino?
Chino?
Marcy.
So that is caused. So when tomatoes crack, or if they get real thick, kind of tough skin, they're all related. That's a difference between daytime temperatures and morning. So in the morning, they're nice and plump. They fill up. During the heat of the day, they kind of shrink and they shrivel. And that fluctuation in the actual fruit size, no, you don't see it changing, but you can see the cracks in it. So you know that this ebb and flow, this plumpiness and then dryness. And so more consistency in the watering is the key. So for me, so if you were tuned in back in April when we were putting our tomatoes in, I said use Aqua Boost crystals. And the reason I did that was so you don't get cracking. So this, because I just knew it was coming. So these are crystals you pour down at the root level and they swell up, hold up the moisture. And then as the plant needs more moisture, it'll take it from the crystals, the Aqua Boost crystals, instead of from the fruit. So you're evening out that water or irrigation pattern. So what you might want to do is come in and get a bottle of that. Just poke a hole down where the roots are, pour it in there. Just do that 3 or 4 times around as best you can. Ideally, if you can put it right underneath the roots where the roots grow through it, that's perfect. But you know what? Life isn't perfect. And you sometimes just taking a big old screwdriver, poking a hole, sprinkling some in there, that's good enough. A teaspoon over here, a few teaspoons, all of a sudden you got this thing going. And the new fruits won't crack at that point. So that's probably the easiest solution. The other one I did see just on tomatoes, I had a customer at the last week's class. They brought a picture of their tomato. It's a small, maybe a golf ball sized tomato, and had classic blossom end rot. So the half of the fruit was blackened, the other half was nice. And she goes,
Mhm.
"What's going on, Ken? I need help me." And I went, "Well, that's classic blossomindra. You need some yield booster." I gave her this bottle of liquid calcium, and it had a picture of that same exact picture she had on her fruit. It's right on the front of the label. So just spray this once a week. All the new fruit will come out clean. So as you see things happening, talk to us, bring a picture. As we deal with this all day long. And so, and we can usually pick it up and we just know, like, we've seen it so many times. We just know, like in our sleep, we dream about this stuff, literally. Rotting fruit. It's not good. You can solve this. And it's usually a mineral deficiency or something going on.
Okay.
So hopefully that helps her.
Right. So the next question is from Janet. She's in Prescott. She said her roses don't seem to be putting on any new buds. She wants to know help get buds going on there. Also, she's fighting aphids.
Yeah.
Like everybody else.
This is super easy.
Yeah. So just need some help.
Yeah, Janet, super easy. So you need to come in. This is why they make rose food with systemic. There's an entire reason they have this one food for roses, because it solves all your problems. So what you're having is you don't have enough food, or specifically phosphorus. So nitrogen, phosphorus, potash. That middle number causes fruits and flowers, especially on roses. So give it some rose food has that juiced up, designed specifically for roses. So give it some rose food, but for you, because you've got aphids, rose food with the bug additive in there. The plant will absorb the nutrients and the bug control and put it inside the flower bud that will keep the flowers, from getting aphids, keep the stems. It taints the sap. The inside of that rose goes from inside out. It will also eliminate thrip and some other nasty bugs that like fruits, like roses. So rose food with systemic. We've got 2 sizes here at the garden center. We've got one that's works better at this altitude. Come talk to us. We're at Easy Drive.
If you have a bad aphid outbreak and you want to treat it right away.
Oh, sure.
Also using the spinosad soap.
Sure.
Is excellent product for getting rid of aphids.
Bring a picture. You bring a picture to us so we can help you analyze how bad. If it's just a few aphids, rose food with systemic will do it. Or they're only going to get worse. We're in the peak of the growing season right now for everything, including aphids. And they only get worse as you get into fall. So that spinosad soap is like magic. It's like instantly your problems are all solved. And the long-term solution will be the rose food with the systemic. Use them in conjunction with each other.
Right. All right.
And the best flowers of the year for roses is the best flowers are in autumn. Everyone, spring gets all the glory because everyone's bored. They haven't seen a flower in 6 months. But really, the biggest showiest. That's why all the county fairs, roses in the fall or late summer, is because of that. The best flowers are then. So you get plenty of time. Go for it.
Oh, definitely. All right. Last question I think we have time for is from Jake. He says he's trying to decide between aspen and birch.
Okay.
Wants to know, is there one preferable than the other, or any other good trees that you can think of that have a more narrow, he likes the bark, the white bark, that kind of stuff.
So Jake, so in the West, we're the southern tips of the Rockies. Aspen is the #1 seller. In the Midwest, the Midwestern folks like their birch because that's native over there. And so I would say they're both good choices. The narrower of the two would be the aspen. So quaking. Now you got to also say, I'm assuming he's talking shopping here and not just phoning in, but there is a Swiss or European aspen. You don't want that one. So you want the native one, the quaking. So Populus tremuloides, you want that one here because that's our native aspens. It's going to perform better. Exceptional. There's some beautiful specimens in your neighborhood. I guarantee you, you've got aspens there. They adapt to the clay. They just take our wind. They just grow well here. Birch also does really well. Gets a little wider than aspen does. It's not aggressive. It's not bad. It's got more of a weeper. Aspens are kind of upright, goes to the moon. Birch are kind of more weepy, kind of softer, flowy. Just feeling kind of thing. Some of it comes down to what look do you want?
Mhm.
And then if you want to go more native, most of the white trunked trees in your neighborhood here are quaking aspens. You've got Aspen Creek right there, just outside of town. You got aspens kind of up in Williams. They're famous. And so if you want that, you can have that in your own backyard or front yard or whatever. We just planted 5 of them. We donated them to who was that? Sun Up Lions Club. They were helping with some new teacher housing up near Taylor's Hicks. We put 1 quaking aspen in front of every single. We just donated some trees to every single unit so it'd make it beautiful. We want our teachers. We want what's best for our teachers. That's all we got for this segment. We'll be right back after this.
Plant summer shade with the best trees.
We've collected 700 mountain hardy trees for summer-long shade, privacy, and wind protection.
We guarantee you will fall in love with a backyard that is cool again.
Summer rains make this the ideal season to plant new trees for summer-long shade.
And Waters Garden Center can help.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
You're listening to Ken Lain, aka the Top 10 Gardener. Ken can be found throughout the week in Prescott at Waters Family Garden Center. Listen daily as he answers the top 10 questions of the week, streaming on Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever you download your podcasts. You've tuned in to the Top 10 Garden Show with garden expert Ken Lain. Join the conversation daily as he answers timely garden questions. Email Ken a question directly from your phone to his desktop through the web at watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Or visit face-to-face throughout the week where he can be found at Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Now welcome your host, Ken Lain.
So as you can imagine, a garden center. So I'm recording this from Waters Garden Center. I've got a studio here at the garden center in my office, set up just so I can be more proactive, be more in tune, just kind of react, invite guests to get interviews while they're here at the garden center. It's helpful for me. It's more efficient for my time. This show broadcasts throughout northern Arizona, and I pre-record it as though it's live on Friday, the day before, and then it broadcasts Saturdays and Sundays and on podcasts. So it kind of gets chopped up because it's on a lot of different radio stations. And it's gaining steam. So the podcast, I can't believe how many people are listening to podcasts or live streaming. And so I'm just trying to feed into that, trying to be trendy, trying to keep up. And so I've got a studio right here, game changer. And so what we're finding is this year at the garden center, here at least Waters Garden Center, the birds were just everywhere this year. I don't know what happened, but we had more birds, more hummingbirds specifically. Actually, more every kind of bird, but hummingbirds were noticeable. And we've got a couple babies out there. And I don't know what it is, but they grew up with gardeners coming into the garden center. And they're tame. I mean, you could almost pet some of these, or you can go right up to them, take a picture. I mean, I've got a little baby hummingbird in the back greenhouse, the annual house. And it's a male, got a beautiful red throat. He's decided, this is my home. These are my flowers. These are my people. And so he loves the pentas and the lantana, which they are a favorite of hummingbirds and butterflies. So the pollinators they dearly, dearly love penta flowers and lantana flowers. And we've got a whole lot of colors. I can't seem to notice what flavor they like or what color. He seems to like them all. And he's got a couple of buddies that kind of hang out in there too. But if you're coming in, make sure if you come to the parking lot, go through the lower greenhouse, go past the big outdoor resort sized pots, and then go to that upper greenhouse where all the edible fruits, the fruit trees, the berries, and the flowers are, and take a look. We're trying to name him right now. I'm voting for Clarice, but other folks have other names for him. But he's so tame. Take a picture. Hashtag Waters Garden Center. But it's just a fun to see the babies be so tame to gardeners here at the garden center. They're just surrounded all the time. It's kind of really, really fun. If you like hummingbirds, I'm also finding in my own gardens, I always plant pentas, and I have several large clusters of lantana because I'm trying to attract. I'm a flower gardener myself. That's my thing. I love going out and in the morning, sipping tea or coffee and deadheading my flowers. It's therapy for me. I've got an illness called gardening. I don't like gardening, and I like flower gardening because it's therapeutic. It just makes me feel good. And then I actually garden for the birds. And so I'm trying to bring in more hummingbirds. I've got so many, it's ridiculous how many hummingbirds are up in the mimosa trees, buzzing around the yard. But they really like the pentas and the lantanas and another one, salvia. Anytime you hear the word salvia or sage, they're the same plant. So sage is the common name. Salvia is the botanical name. They're the same plant. They got that herbally scenty, kind of that sagey scent to it. And we cook with sage in the kitchen, but there's that family of plants. That's one of a very large family of plants. So the most famous, I sell 10 to 1 Salvia gregii or autumn sage to every edible sage. I sell a lot of edible sage, but this is a big landscape plant. Salvia or autumn sage is a knee-high plant. It's covered in red flowers, not always red. I've got a brand new blue one that's very interesting, purple, apricot, some whites I've got one called lipstick, which is a white flower, then red, looks like a fairy has taken white lipstick on the edge of each flower. They're all the same plant. The flower changes, that's it. This thing, knee-high, ball-shaped, and hummingbirds love them all. It's a perennial. It comes back year after year. So we use it more like a landscape shrub than we do. I have it in some containers or raised beds, but you can put it right down the driveway and have it just lining, have these beautiful flowering plants. They are deciduous. That is, they lose their leaves in the winter. We just leave them alone. They'll disappear. You don't even see them. They're just twigs. And then usually in March, I'll go out and just kind of shape them. I don't cut them back very far, not like a perennial. I don't cut them to the ground. I kind of shape their knee-high form so they take more of a ball shaped. If you don't do anything, they'll take on this wilder look to it. They kind of range out, run across the yard a little bit. Well, I don't mind that with some plants, but this one looks a little more formal looking because it's so short. I kind of want to keep proportionate. I'll have it about knee wide as knee high. And so I want it to have it look like it's just had a haircut, not just wild, mangy, need something going on here. So I clean it up in March, fertilize it with that 744 all-purpose plant food. I have just given all of my salvias, all the summer bloomers, some superphosphate, so 0,18,0. So I put both of those down when the summer hit. So all-purpose food and superphosphate, and everything is in stunning bloom. So the hummingbirds are really happy with all my pentas, all my lantanas, all my salvias or autumn sages. And you can have the same. It's a good time to plant those now. Be right back with more after this.
Butterflies bring magic to the garden, and attracting those winged wonders is easy with Water's Butterfly Plant Collection.
Water specializes in local plants and knows exactly which plants butterflies adore.
We create a natural, safe, and organic space for you and your beautiful butterflies.
Visit Waters Garden Center at 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Or online at watersgardencenter.com.
Smell the flowers that butterflies love and turn gardens into a butterfly paradise.
The Top 10 Gardener, your source for timely garden advice seasonally correct for the garden, guaranteed to make a difference in your yard this season. You've tuned in to the Top 10 Gardener with garden expert Ken Lain. Join him daily as he answers timely garden questions that are sure to make a difference in your gardens. Now welcome your host, Ken Lain.
And we are back with Lisa Lain in the studio. She comes each week and just shares what she sees, what she's hearing, what she sees in neighborhoods, in her own gardens, which are stunning right now.
They look pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, your sunflowers are over the top. We had the grandkids in the backyard,
Mhm.
and they're one a toddler, so barely speaking, barely walking, but loves to hang out with grandparents and go pick flowers.
Yep.
So for about an hour, we went and picked flowers
Mhm.
and said, "Here, go give this to your mom." And so we made a bouquet of flowers, and he
Yeah.
just thought that was like the best, like awe-inspiring. So
was.
hydrangeas and sunflowers and begonias and ornamental grasses.
Mhm.
It was all good. So
He had fun doing that.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
kids are
It's fun
easy.
to watch him do
Have
that.
him pick. I had him pick a fruit, a big old tomato. He goes, "Apple."
Yeah.
Going, "No, it's a tomato." "No, apple." Just something red. "Okay, try some." He goes, "Duh, that's not an apple." He actually picked a second one on his own. He went, "Oh, that was fun," and started eating that one. So
I know. It was weird. It's like
Yeah.
the first one was more ripe.
Yeah.
Looked beautiful.
Yeah,
But
as big as he
that's
could
okay.
barely hold it. It's bigger than his hand. He could barely pick it up. It was so big. So, but just gosh, Nico.
Yeah, it's been fun having them visit. Always
Yep.
fun to have the grandkids. And I love the fact that all of the kids have enjoyed being out in the yard with us and picking flowers. I'm so glad we have that for them to do that. It's fun.
They're from Texas,
Mhm.
Austin area, San Antonio. So we got several kids in, and they're in that part of Texas.
It's hot.
It's humid. It's not that hot. It's just humid. And so you're
Right.
gooey all the time. They're coming out here going,
It's beautiful.
80s and dry. This is like perfect.
And we're going, it's hot.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
humid.
It's all just what you know.
It is.
So what do you got for us?
So,
Some garden tips.
It's funny how this time of year, the question I get asked the most is, do I still have time to plant?
Oh, I know. It's crazy.
And I'm
I
like,
don't know. I
it's
don't get it.
it's
It's all the
barely the
Phoenix
middle of
people.
August. Yeah.
Something
I'm like,
that'll-
yes, you do have time to plant. And it's a wonderful time to plant. The
Ideal.
soils are nice and warm, so they're going to root out. We're past the worst of the heat. We
Yeah,
have some higher
absolutely.
humidity in the area. So, yes, you can put in your perennials now, your shrubs, your roses, your trees, whatever you want to put in. Now is a great time to do it.
We just had a landscape team come in, and they must have bought, I don't know, a truckload. So they're putting a whole landscape in, and I'm sure they'll have more success
Mhm.
just because they're putting it in now.
Right.
I'm sure they're putting irrigation, lighting, all the
Mhm.
other stuff. It was a nice landscape, but they were coming in, and the owner wanted them buying them from. They wanted specifically higher quality plants. So they had their guys come in here to pick them up. So I had a list and kind of helped them out.
Yeah,
Great time to plant.
it is. And we're still getting fresh stuff in.
Yeah.
That's the other thing to think of, because a lot of places they're like, yeah, we're done. Season's over. We're not bringing any more stuff in. Well, we got 2 trucks this week.
Yeah, that's right.
So we have beautiful crepe myrtles in. We've got a rose of Sharon, potentias. We still have a lot of lovely roses in stock. So do not neglect planting this
Now,
time
with
of year.
that being said, before you go into jump into your, those are beautiful flowers. The studio smells really good. We do have our Monster Monsoon sale starting this weekend.
That
It's
is
just
true.
kind of, it's what we're doing with that is, yeah, but you said there's time to plant, but you're clearing out all your stuff. No, it's only the spring and summer stuff.
Mhm.
We have a whole series of fall and winter plants that are doing truckloads are coming. This is the transition from
Mhm.
spring to the next season, and we'll skew it towards fall color, winter evergreens. That's when all the best maples come in, your
Right.
your asters and
Mhm.
phlox, and so you'll see this turn. We just don't want a winter. We don't want all that few last things left.
Right.
We got fresh new stuff coming. We don't need it here. We'd rather have you have it at your yard and just discount it hard so you're
Mhm.
motivated to do that.
Right.
So anyway,
Definitely.
that's the difference.
Yes. So yes, lots of really great bargains in perennials, trees, shrubs, roses.
Yep.
Check that out, definitely. But we have some lovely new stuff.
Brand new things.
So I brought this one in. This is the saffron echinacea.
Yeah.
The thing that I
beautiful.
noticed about this, and I thought I was just losing my mind, but I was putting them away. I'm like, what's that smell? I've never
Oh, they do smell
thought
good.
coneflower had that kind of
Yeah.
fragrance to them, but this one particularly does. This one's called the saffron. It's an orange, real bright
It's
orange
saffron
color.
color. Yeah.
Well, not everybody knows what saffron is. So, but just had a really nice fragrance to it. So I was so surprised.
Yeah. That is amazing.
Yeah.
This is a great bird pollinator kind of plant too. So birds, the butterflies will like it, and then your smaller birds will use it as a food source in the winter. It loves full sun. Animals generally don't eat it. I don't know about this color,
Right.
but your grandparents grew the
Purple.
basic purple.
Yeah.
Now we've got reds and sombreros and apricots and saffrons and all these
I
other
probably
colors.
have 5 different colors of the
Yeah.
echinacea in right now.
Yeah.
And now is its season. It looks beautiful this time of year.
Now I'm putting together a video right now. I was just in Naperville, which is where our seed breeder is. They got a ton of test gardens. And so they have an entire test garden of nothing but echinaceas.
Really?
All the colors.
Wow.
And I got a video of that, and I want to share that with folks and our social media folks,
Yeah.
just so they can see what a test garden looks like. This is massive acreage. This is how we test to see how long they bloom, what bugs they get, how much sun they take, and how they're actually going to be genetics, how upright, or do they spread out, or what do they do? And then from there, we take the cuttings and the seeds, and we grow that from there. And that's how we're looking at these test gardens now for spring next year. But I thought, that's kind of neat. I think gardeners would really like that and see the differences.
That's beautiful.
I'll try to post that this week.
Yeah, definitely. So the other flowers that we have in right now is salvia. So this one is the Purple Vibe Ignition Salvia. It's a great little salvia to put in. You want to attract hummingbirds? Oh my gosh, put in a salvia.
Crazy, yeah.
So we have this little hummingbird that's been hanging around the garden center. He's like almost tame at this point. And there's certain plants he loves. The pentas is one of them, the lantana, and then the salvia.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't matter what color, whether it's the white, the purple, the hot lips, the red, he loves them all. He's he's a real little baby. He's adorable. We're trying to think of a name for him.
Have you named him yet?
No, we're trying to think of a name.
I'm voting Clarice. I'm thinking that's a good one. That's a hummingbird name.
Chloe.
Chloe,
I like.
only it's a male.
Well, how do you
Chloe.
know?
Because it's got a red throat.
Oh, okay. Never
Because
mind.
I know my hummingbirds.
Never mind. Okay. So the other plant that I wanted to show you guys this week, this is the Rudbeckia. This one is Prairie Sun, and it's got a bright yellow bloom that's probably 4 or 5 inches across.
It's as big as your hand, or darn close to it.
Absolutely gorgeous. You definitely need it in a pot by your front door.
It's fun to
or
play
out
with
in
this
your
on the
perennial.
camera.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know you get distracted. Or putting it in a perennial bed. It's just so bright and colorful right now. It's absolutely gorgeous. We also got some Rudbeckia in, we got Echinacea in, which is a cross between a Rudbeckia and an Echinacea.
Yeah.
And they're kind of a brown, they'd be gorgeous with this. I should have brought one too. They're kind of a brown amber color with some touches of yellow. It would be very striking to have.
Looks like an Arizona sunset,
Yeah.
the way I look at her, or a glorified sunflower. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very pretty. So those are just a few of the new plants that we got in. Plus, we just have a really good selections of the agastache.
That's another one I got.
Yeah.
I got the agastache display bed. They had all the colors. And so I wanted to show that off, because agastache, most folks don't know what that is.
Right.
Or they know Russian sage, but
Yeah.
agastache is actually a better plant. I'll see if I can process those 2 videos and post them up on our
That'd be fun.
Instagram, social media, and TikTok feeds. So you folks that are social media folks, you'll get to see that. And those folks that aren't, I'm sorry, you're left out. Like, maybe I don't think I can put that in our newsletter. So it's some things are made for social and some things aren't. So
that is true.
Well, we are out of time, Lisa. Thanks so much for coming in and sharing the summer plants. They just get bigger and better as we go into the season. But we're here with a whole lot more. Come talk to Lisa and the crew here at Waters Gardens. We'll be right back after this. Hi, Waters with the plants of the week and our gold flame honeysuckle.
Wonderfully fragrant. These blooms are in full color right now and will stay that way until the first frost of October.
These pink and gold blooms are irresistible to hummingbirds and butterflies alike.
Excellent as a quick ground cover, but robust enough to climb vertical structures and fences.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott, where people who love blooming vines, they love to shop.
You're listening to garden expert Ken Lain, owner of Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Look for more tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts through Ken's website, additional shows of this podcast, read his weekly garden column, or follow him on Facebook, Instagram at watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Welcome to the Top 10 Garden Show with Ken Lain. Listen to Ken's tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts guaranteed to make your gardens more beautiful than ever this year. Now welcome your host, Ken Lain.
There are some planting mistakes or blunders that rookie gardeners or new gardeners to the area, I find it's a consistent theme. I thought I'd share just a few of them, not all of them. There's not enough time. I'd take a lifetime. You learn gardening by making mistakes, by the way. You can read all you want, tune into the podcast, get the radio show, read the column. We do all of that, and you will become much smarter, much quicker, fast. You want to up your game fast, do that. Just follow me wherever, and you'll get better for this local, regional area of gardening. We'll help you get better. And it's adapting to the sun, the wind, the alkalinity, the north, south, east, west. I mean, most people in the garden in the country are dealing with flat. They don't have north, south, east, west. They have just flat. Here we do have a north side hill. Your neighbors on the west side will be different than the east side, yet that affects you. So how do you adapt to that quickly? But some real key things. The first mistake I find people make, especially if you just retired and you've been thinking about gardening, you've tried a little bit, you finally sold your house there and you bought your dream home here, and now you've got time and the resources to truly dedicate to gardening. It's really, gardening's about time. And so you could do this. What I find, whether it's a new houseplant gardener, new tomato, new trees, new gardeners, they are obsessed about watering. Plants are not puppy dogs. Very few need water every day. Maybe your real shallow containered flowers out on the back deck in the full sun. Yeah, they might. But a new tree, it does not like water every day. It likes a deep soak. These are slow moving. They are alive, but they aren't as active as a puppy, as a new Labrador retriever or whatever. They're not a puppy. It's a tree. And so they are going to take up water slowly. They pulsate water about a foot a day. They'll push water up. So if you're fertilizing a plant, it's going to take up those nutrients, and then slowly, about a foot a day, it's going to take it. And finally, it'll get up to, if it's a big 12-foot tree, it might take almost 2 weeks for that plant to be fully. So it's using that water, the nutrients, everything pulsates through this plant slowly. And so if you're watering every single day that plant, and you're filling up all those air pockets with water molecules, that plant can drown. And so houseplants, they do not like water every day. About once a week is about right. Maybe every 2 weeks if it's a real hardy aloe or some of these ZZ plants. These are hardy. That's why we use them in commercial settings, because you can neglect them and they still look great. But if you're watering them every day, they'll drop some leaves, they'll turn yellow, they'll get wispy, they'll stop blooming, they'll drop their fruits. There's all indications of I'm overwatering. Be careful not to overdo it or be overzealous with your watering. When you do give them water, give them a lot. Really load it up so that water gets pushed through the entire root zone. You might even get a water meter to check it to make sure you did that well enough. But kind of watch that one. The other one is, right now, if you're new to gardening, I'm going to have a compost pile. This is great. I'm going to take this and compost it. I'm going to free like mocha gold out there. Well, whatever you do, don't take weed seeds and try to compost them. It's just a problem waiting to happen. So that's a mistake I've seen folks make. They adding these weeds. They let them get too big. They're cutting them off, and they add that composted material. It just takes so long to get them to compost down so the weeds are killed. It's easy to make a mistake. Another one is using free manure. Free manure is great. It's free as long as it's composted first. If you don't compost manure for about a season, or about a year, or at least 6, 7, 8 months, it's very hot. And then typically we're using, this is equestrian country, this is horse country. Horses, that whatever they eat, it comes out the other end. And all the seed are there, all the hay seed, all the straw. I mean, it's all there. And so you're now taking that fresh manure, adding that to the top of your gardens, and now all of a sudden you've got this alfalfa field, not a garden. And now you're fighting the grass coming through it. If you compost it first, it gets rid of all that. Plus, there's this ginormous, I mean, it is the biggest grub I have ever seen that loves horse manure. It gets in there and it's like a 4 to 5 inch grub, white organic. It looks like an alien life form is laying in now, living inside this manure pile. Is going to come up and suck you on your jugular vein. It's just scary looking. Well, they do like to eat the roots on your plants. I've had several customers pick up this glorious new free load in their pickup truck and take it over, add that to the garden. They added the grubs that were living there and introduced them to their new gardens here. So just compost it first, and they're all baked out of that. If you use it fresh, that's just kind of school of hard knocks. I've just seen that happen too many times. I just want to share that with friends. My name's Ken. We're just friends talking over the back fence. This has kind of worked for me. And here's some things I don't want you to make a mistake with. I want you to have better, more successful gardens. Another one right now, gardeners that are new to gardening, they're afraid of pruning, especially this time of year. Don't be afraid. Plants they're like plants are like a beautiful woman. They go to the salon, they come out even more glorious than before. Well, plants, they love to have they like to be frosted and tinted and trimmed and cropped, and they love that. Plants feel more beautiful when you give them a haircut. You keep them shaped. They bloom better if you take those spent, old, raggedy flowers off. They'll bloom again for you. If you got a big old branch hanging to the ground, cut it off. It'll actually grow out of it and come back even more beautiful. So don't be afraid. What the book says, here's the years of education. You can prune up to 10% of the foliage mass anytime you want. Peak of summer, it's going to be 100 today. You can prune 10% of the foliage mass. So that's a lot, actually. That's a major branch. That's a major haircut. In the winter, you're pruning that heavy pruning. So in the winter, when it's dormant, you could prune up to 30% or a third of the foliage mass. That's a major pruning. It's like, I'm going to really thin this apple tree out. I'm going to really cut back this juniper hedge. I'm going to really cut back. Light pruning now, heavy pruning in the winter. Don't be afraid. You can hardly make a mistake with plants. And so you could fertilize your way out of any mistake you might have made. So don't be afraid to cut back. The other one is just ignoring where plants like, or just not talking. We put them in the ground and I ignore them. You got to these are living plants. They're reacting to where you put them in the ground. And so they like certain areas and they dislike certain areas. And if you're not sure, and it starts with sun and shade, those are the obvious ones. I love the plant. I went to the garden center. I went, oh, I love hydrangeas. It's so pretty. And then I go put it out in full sun. Oh, they are not going to like that here. Our elevation just bakes them. I know they do that in the Midwest. But here at this elevation, we're a mile high. They're at sea level. That's a mile's worth of atmosphere of sun that just bakes. You're close to the sun up here, and it bakes your hydrangeas. But if you put them in the shade, oh, they thrive. They just love it. They love the bright reflective sun coming off of there. So you got to put them in the right place, and then you just don't want to ignore them. So for my hydrangea, just talking hydrangeas, this is any plant really though, but my hydrangea, put them in the ground, not in a container, my back patio, north facing, it's shaded, and it bloomed its heart out. And then the flowers started to fade. So I cut them back. I was working with them. I didn't ignore you. Go, no, you felt so beautiful. Let me help you be beautiful again. Fertilize them with we make a fancy fertilizer for flowering things called Flower Power. I know that the name's not very original, but Flower Power really does make things bloom well. And so gave it some Flower Power a couple times, and now it is in full bloom again. Just like that. Don't ignore your plants. Put them in, and if they're reacting, help them. Maybe we might have put them in the wrong place, or maybe they got a bug, or maybe there's something in the soil, or it's reacting. Maybe it's just stressed out, and you need to give it a little. There's some additives called Root and Grow that kind of makes things, kind of stabilizes them. It's kind of like an IV for plants. So you can give them an IV and make them come back for you. Plants do not want to die. They will live if at all possible, you have to kill them for them to die, because they're going to come back if at all possible. And it's just reacting, not ignoring them, but reacting to it and helping them come out of that. Anyway, the blunders. I don't want you to make a mistake. Got more for you right after this. Hi, Kennett Waters with our Monster Monsoon Sale, our only sale of the year.
Truckloads of fresh autumn maple, aspen, and spruce have just arrived, and we need room, so summer plants must go.
Perennials, trees, shrubs, even pottery must go, and it's worth your while with plant sales at 25, 45, even 65% off.
It's Waters' only sale of the year at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Where people who love great plants at sale prices, they love to shop.
You're listening to garden expert Ken Lain. He can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Thanks for tuning in to the Top 10 Garden Show. You've tuned in to the Top 10 Gardener with garden expert Ken Lain. Join him daily as he answers timely garden questions that are sure to make a difference in your gardens. Now welcome your host, Ken Lain.
So the rains have everything growing faster. The warmth, the heat of the day. So we had some heat stress back in June, July. It was hot. It was 100 degrees for a couple of weeks, and things stopped blooming. They got little brown tips. They were struggling. Then it cooled down and the rains came, and they have just started exploding with new growth. And so a lot of that was just heat stress. You would have been heat stressed too, no matter how much water you had. You just would have been hot. And plants are the same way. And so now you go outside with a nice Gatorade or just a nice glass of tea, and you're going, this is pretty nice. I like it. And your plants are doing the same thing. One thing that also grows this time of year are the bugs are doing the same thing. They're growing like crazy. So I'm noticing that someone just sent in tomato worm to me. So you're seeing a moth out in the garden that looks like a hummingbird. At first you go, oh, there's a hummingbird. And you're going, wait a minute. That's kind of not as pretty as a hummingbird. Oh, it's got a real long proboscis. It's got a real long, not a beak, but a real long probe that goes down. It's a pollinator. But she lays her eggs on your tomatoes and peppers, and they come out as tomato worms, these great, big, long 4 to 5 inch green caterpillars. So the adult of that caterpillar is the sphinx moth or hummingbird moth. But she lays eggs. So we started to see those come out about 2 weeks ago. They're now active in the gardens. They're attracted to your plants, your flowers, and she is laying eggs. And so you haven't had tomato worms. You thought, oh, I got out of it this year. No, they were just delayed. So this year seems to be about 3 weeks late. Everything is blooming later. The bugs are later. The weeds are later. Everything's about 3 weeks delayed this year. And so the tomato worms, or that sphinx moth, showed up about 3 weeks later than normal. And so, but she's laid eggs now. And so you should be diligent. You should go out and check at least once a week or a couple times a week, looking for foliage that's disappearing out in your vegetable garden. And if you see that, super easy to get rid of them. They make a spray called Smidocid spray, caterpillar killer. It's got BT in it. You gardeners know what that is, organic caterpillar killer, but you spray BT on the foliage. That caterpillar will come out, digest some foliage, take the BT in, and get sick and stop eating. And they finally starve to death. But just kind of be careful. I'm telling you, within 2 weeks, I know the garden center is going to be overwhelmed with people coming in with tomato problems. And already my friends in Chino Valley are sending in pictures out in Chino, dewy, that little bit warmer, probably Dewey, Humboldt. I'm sure the Verde Valley, you all are seeing this already. Over here, this side of the mountain, we're seeing a little bit delayed. Just be diligent. Don't let a caterpillar eat your plants. Take them out. So kind of watch after that one. The other one are snails and slugs are everywhere. Snail and slugs are underneath my yarrows. They're out in my ground covers. They're the easiest thing in the world to deal with. It's a snail and slug bait. I'm going to put this caution to you. Don't use just any snail and slug bait. Some of these things are very dangerous. They're especially if you have dogs and birds. you want to use an organic snail and slug bait. It's pelletized, and we've infused it with either iron or spinosad. It's the same thing we kill the caterpillars with in BT, only we put it in a pellet form that they're attracted to. They come out and eat it at night, and then all you see are empty shells or slimy carcasses. So snail and slug bait, watch what you're using out in the yard, because some of them are very poisonous and they're very effective, but they're poisonous. But why not use an organic when you can? That's equally as effective. You don't have to worry about the birds and your dogs and your cats as much. So we sell one here at the garden center, only one organic one, because it works and it's safer. So it's called snail and slug bait with spinosad. That's it. Okay, that's it for this show. I'm glad you all tuned in. Throughout the week, Lisa and I camp out here at Waters Garden Center. We love talking to fans of the show. Hi, Ken at Waters with our Monster Monsoon Sale, our only sale of the year.
Truckloads of fresh autumn maple, aspen, and spruce have just arrived, and we need room, so summer plants must go.
Perennials, trees, shrubs, even pottery must go, and it's worth your while with plant sales at 25, 45, even 65% off.
It's Waters' only sale of the year at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Where people who love great plants at sale prices, they love to shop.
If you want a more fruitful garden, increased success in landscape that just feels better, then tune in daily to the Top 10 Garden Podcast. Years of tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts are guaranteed to make your gardens nicer than ever. Listen to this podcast or read Ken's weekly garden column by visiting watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Thanks for tuning in.